I'm Micah. I wrote a book and self-published it, and it did pretty well on Amazon. Bam, I'll put it right there. I also publish a anthology every year, a horror anthology with a bunch of awesome authors, and it does really well, and it's all for charity. And now I help other people publish books, new authors getting into the self-publishing sphere. I help them do that, and every Friday I get to kick it with my girl and talk about all the awesome things. I like long walks on the beach, and I am 25 years old. Okay. Your turn. Go. We got 2 minutes for an intro.
Okay, Chelsea here. I write books. I like to write dark epic fantasy. I show up on a couple of the anthologies Micah has done. Hopefully this year again. Let's just be honest. I have written The Blood of the Lion, The Mark of the Dam, The Dance of Destiny. Now, The Scars of the Wicked is coming out here. I am just hoping that it all works out. So that being said, I've done a few short stories. I have written a dark kids book that is, I'm not sure if it's kids friendly, let's be honest.
Oh, it's great. It's very kids friendly.
Yeah.
Very kids
and I am a coffee addict and will find any way to drink my coffee. And I like music. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
People lose thousands of dollars at failed A Million Lives book festival in Baltimore. Has anybody heard about this?
Oh, I think the entire world has heard about this now.
Apparently, the entire world has heard about this at this point. Newsweek, USA Today, obviously it's all over YouTube and TikTok, CBS News, NBC News, People Magazine. This book festival was the Fyre Fest of Books. Do you remember the Fyre Fest?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, it was basically this gigantic. Every artist in the entire world is going to be there. VIP tickets, $2,000 to $20,000. All this crazy stuff on this island. It's going to be black tie. Everybody's going to be. And then they got there, and it was like a poor man's Burning Man. Like it was just awful. So they're saying that the Million Lives Book Festival is the Fyre Fest of book festivals. Brutal. This happened, I think it was May 2nd. Yeah, May 2nd, 2nd and 3rd, whatever that Saturday, Sunday was, that weekend. So apparently this up and coming, this burgeoning planning organization company called Archer Fantasy Events. Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. They decided to, first time out, decided to do this gigantic book fest where they were promising 500 to 600 attendees, up to 1,200 attendees is what I heard. So they're promising all the authors this, and they're not charging very much per table. If anyone's not familiar with cons or festivals in the book sphere, normally an author will go, they'll pay a table fee, they'll get a table, they get to set up. There's a bunch of other authors, a bunch of other vendors, and they're all there chilling out, selling their books, that kind of thing. But there is a attendance. There are readers, there are buyers, there are interested parties going to this, and so that justifies the cost of the table fee, of the, maybe as an author you keep 20 or 30 copies around to sell at smaller cons, at garage sales, whatever you gotta do to an individual. These authors spent thousands of dollars getting many author copies of their books to sell at this festival, which is what you would do at a con.
Yep.
But you would make that back and then some because of the attendance, because of the readers that are interested. It's a giant literary to do, and it's a lot of fun. I've been to some. So the $125 for a book or for a table is not bad. The last one I went to, it was $400 for the table.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh, goodness gracious. Yeah, it hurt. I didn't have to pay that because I was asked to be a speaker there. So, but everyone else that was there had to pay that $400 per table. Anyways, so do you recall how many authors were actually there? Did we get a number on that?
I don't know if we got a number. There was quite a list of authors that showed up, and names that you and I both know that showed up, which we're not going to name names here or anything like that. Yeah. But It is regarded, and I was doing some research here. It is regarded by somebody that shared that only 50 people showed up, buyers.
Yeah, yeah, that's the number I'm hearing. And if I just look at the videos of the event that other authors and vendors took, you can see a sparse handful of visitors, of readers, of people who purchase tickets,
Mm-hmm.
amongst just lines and lines and lines, dozens and dozens at least of authors and vendors who paid the table fare, paid booked flights. There were authors that came from out of the country for this.
Spain.
Yeah, so paid for the round trip flight, paid for the thousands of dollars of books, had to get those all shipped here. I mean, you're talking. I saw someone say they lost $12,000. They lost $12,000, and it may have been the Spain author. I don't know, but it's all over the place. Y'all can go read it. But long story short, this was a gigantic, gigantic disaster. The problem is, because as Chelsea and I first saw it, obviously we try to look at everything based in reality, not off of emotion. You end up making the wrong decisions and jumping to the wrong conclusions a lot when you base your opinions on emotion and on feeling, and especially if you just base your opinion like right off the bat, the first thing you read, or if you jump on this mob mentality bandwagon. So we always try not to do that. We preach against that. So we were thinking, okay, that sucks. That super sucks for all of the authors, for all of the vendors. It sucks for the company that was putting it on, because they probably had good intentions and they wanted to see this thing succeed. This is all the things we're thinking about. But then you go in and start looking at it more, and it looked like the host of this event was straight up lying about tickets sold and about the prospect of visitors and readers and buyers. So there are emails out there that show her saying that there will be somewhere between 500 and 600 guests. Okay, you multiply 500, 600 guests by the cost of your book, maybe a third of them buy it, whatever, you're going to make your money back. And this is how these things work. So everybody's excited. They get there and there's no more than 50 guests the entire weekend. So now if I'm somebody who buys a ticket to something, I'm going to go unless I get deathly ill or
Oh yeah.
something like that. So you're telling me 550 people who purchased tickets got deathly ill and didn't go to this? No. There's a problem there. That was it looks like that was a bold-faced lie. And again, we aren't throwing accusations. I'm just setting the stage. All I'm doing is setting the stage. So all the authors and vendors were told that there was going to be 500 to 600 people there. Nothing. The next day, there's supposed to be a ball.
Yep.
The ball cost $250. It's supposed to be this elegant black tie affair, $250, live music, raffles, elegance, balls and streamers and lights and all this stuff. Go look at some of the footage, y'all. It is in a gym with folding tables and folding chairs.
With nobody there.
Nobody there except for all of the authors and vendors who are dressed to the nines, just looking gorgeous. They came in their gowns, in their tuxes. They came in cosplay, and they were the only ones there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's brutal. It's so bad. So that is setting the stage. You've probably all seen it by now. If not, just go look it up. A Million Lives Book Festival. We'll get into more of it later. But Chelsea, now that I've stammered for like the last 10 minutes, talk to me, girl.
Well, and so when Micah and I were first brought to attention the Million Lives Book Festival, our goal, and Micah's already said it, like the goal is not to slander the name. We're not going to sit here and attack the host or the company that set this up. You all have done that quite well. Like, the comments that we've seen, the statements, the posts, the reels, there's been a massive uproar that I know for many is when you're losing thousands and thousands and thousands, that those feelings are justified. I couldn't imagine being in that boat and losing thousands of dollars.
I would be just as pissed,
Yeah.
and I would be just as vocal.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that on the authors and the vendors putting that up, but y'all should have seen these comments. These comments weren't
There
in the
were,
thousands
and they were
on every post.
mean. Yeah.
Mean, like you're talking like Gaston and the village going
Kill the
after the
beast.
thieves. Yeah, I mean you're talking
Yeah.
pitchforks and torches and storming the castle. I mean it was brutal.
And it was actually, even though I was extremely upset for every author involved, I was actually a little bit uncomfortable by the extreme hate. Like, I don't know how to explain it. And maybe that's just the empath in me, where I'm sitting there and going, ouch, there's an individual on the other side who is having to read these or look at these or know that these exist.
And
Like,
not only that, but when this first came to light, and we're kind of looking at it all. You know, my heart broke for the host for this. This is a
yeah,
small. She is the company. The company is she. This
yeah,
is a very small, individual who wanted to do some good. At least that's what we're thinking.
yes,
It starts to look like a scam at some point. But then we've got, just like every good book, we've got a turnaround. We've got a gotcha at the end, and it all kind of changes, which is so weird. But it really starts looking like a scam because there's no way some of the stuff she promised. I'm just wondering if she was just hoping beyond hope,
yeah,
that this would work out, And you've got to put yourself in that position, seeing that this entire thing you've planned for is coming crashing down, and you're letting everybody down. You're burning everybody's money. Ooh, so you've got to feel bad for her too. If this isn't a scam, if it's a scam, then she got to go. But I don't know that it was, and that's kind of what we want to talk about. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely correct. And that's where I was going to jump off and say is I don't think it's a scam because she is refunding. That's the promise.
You
There's
just
the
gave
most.
the spoiler.
Oh,
You just
what?
gave the spoiler. So from May 2nd or 3rd, whenever this was, to before yesterday, she had come out with an apology. She had come out with a statement saying, "I'm so sorry this happened." She was going to refund the ticket
ball.
price for the ball, the $250.
Yeah.
Everybody was lighting her up. Refund that. Look at all this money we lost. Look at all this money we spent. Blah 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 blah. So yes, thank you, Chelsea. Thank you. It's just
But,
like when I was reading. It's just like when I was reading Harry Potter.
oh my God.
What's number 6 called? What's Harry
The
Potter?
Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah, my friend told me Snape died. Dude,
That's brutal.
I hated him. I hated him so much. I wanted to throat punch him in the face.
That is
Throat
like a
punch him in the face.
heart-wrenching.
Yeah, it was terrible. But yes, okay, so she did just yesterday put out a post saying she's refunding everybody everything.
But here's the thing, and this is why I bring it up, because the plot is still thickening. Because she says, oh my God. Happy Thursday, everybody. Your mom is making me thickening.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all breaking Chelsea.
Gabby, where are you?
Yeah, we're sorry. We're getting way off topic here.
Oh, wow. Anyway.
This is a children's show, Chelsea.
Oh, gosh. Just 18 plus content over here.
Right.
Micah. If it's Gabby, yeah.
Oh, no, anything to do with Gabby is definitely 18 plus. Also, you didn't say anything about, I chopped off my beard yesterday.
Okay, so you were looking, we get on. Yeah. I get distracted by the new font at the bottom here.
Which I still don't understand. I don't see it.
You don't see new font? No. Our font looks different.
It's the same.
No, it looks different. I don't want to hear it. It looks
different. Maybe
it's
the new glasses.
We can put it on there.
Yeah.
But I got distracted. In the same breath, I was like, Micah looks different. And then we started talking about monitors and stuff, and then we derailed.
It's cool. Whatever. I just took off 6 inches of my face, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's all the same.
You didn't notice my nails.
You hadn't put them up yet. Hey, everybody, look at Chelsea's nails. Never talking about you again.
This is going to be the last not a podcast.
This is I don't know. We were doing so good. We were doing so good right at the beginning. We were like on point. Bam, we're ready to go. And somehow you just derailed it by talking about your mom.
So you said it. I didn't.
Nope. Rewind the tape.
So Micah chopped off 6 inches of his beard, everybody. At least it was that 6 inches.
I don't have 6 inches down there to chop off.
Sorry.
I've got.
All right, I gotta come back.
No,
There we are. I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. That's because you're making me laugh and I'm dying over here.
I'm sorry. Go. We've only got 55 minutes left to talk.
Oh crap! Yeah, that's right. Because everybody, I actually work on the clock.
Chelsea actually has a job to do today, which is crazy. It's unfortunate. I don't understand.
It's very unfortunate, and I actually have a meeting right after this that I literally pushed out. I was like, no, not happening. Like we will. The podcast comes first. Thank you.
I had a meeting at 8:15 this morning, and now I'm pretty much done for the day.
That's unfair.
Yeah,
that's unfair. No, I was like, no, I will be. This will come first. You can wait. Oh my God. Are we derailed? Are we okay?
JK, go. Get back to it.
Okay, so I think I was talking about E Million Lives Book Fest. By the way, we are a serious professional podcast, not a podcast.
Correct.
Vlogcast.
Vodcast.
Vodka.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to have me some of that. I'm gonna have to have me some of that.
Okay. So the plot thickens because she releases that and she says, I'm gonna refund everybody by May 31st.
Yes.
So my thing is, this is where her reputation is really on the line, right? She's either saying that to get people off her back and is going to disappear into the Bahamas, or she's really going to uphold her word and process all the refunds and everything's going to be refunded by May 31st. And if that's the case, good for you. I'm happy. You did right. So it's going to be interesting to see, because I think this is going to last. This will kind of quiet down, right, while the refunds are being processed, if they are. Hopefully they are. And then by May 31st, we're going to really see, was she really trying to scam the system, or was she just over promising, under delivering, and then in the hopes that things would work out?
Right.
So I found it really interesting. I was looking at the Archer's Fantasy Events page.
Mm-hmm.
All the fantasy events, the advertisement had thousands and thousands of views. We're talking like every author's dream, right? Multi-thousands. I think one of them had like 18,000 views. But you're going to tell me you only have like, what was it, 2,000 followers?
It's like
1,700.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, because I thought, now, first off, the viral video of her apologizing, I'm sure it went viral because everybody and their mother shared it.
Right.
But I thought it was really interesting because she was posting these apology posts, and you're talking,
which were not very good posts. They were not very good apologies.
No. And I that's where everybody got really upset about, because it felt very desensitive. And perhaps she has brought a lawyer involved or something, and she was coached to say those, and she's just frazzled as much as anybody else. And because the goal here is just to remember there is a human on the other side of this, if she is trying to be genuine and cover her bases because she knows she made a mistake. Or if those refunds aren't processed, did she really try to scam the system? And
also, I think the worst thing in the world she could have done was put a date on when the refunds will be done by.
I agree.
That's no, oh goodness. She has everybody's grace right now, because you all should see the response posts to that. The mob that was going to go up and kill the beast, man, they are all like, you're doing the right thing. You're admitting your fault. You're making it right. And you're talking the same people that are getting ready to burn her at the stake are saying this. You can go back and cross-reference the names and see the same people, just dogging on her, are now saying, you're doing the right thing. You're making everything right, which is just so weird with that mob mentality. Because again, there's thousands and thousands of responses. But anyways, they will be giving her grace until 31st. At the 31st, dude, it's going to be like apocalypse now. If not all those refunds are processed.
Well, and that's the thing. So I found it really interesting because I don't know if she paid for advertisement on Instagram or something to get those views up on those reels. Because and we're talking like massive engagement, right? With the views and everything like that. But if you look at her apology post where she's stating the authors, the Archer management statement, the AML refunds, there's not a lot of overall engagement besides that one that was the mega apology where, 45 comments. That's what I'm looking at right now. 45 comments, people saying, instead of burning you at the stake, we want to invite you for dinner. And you're like,
Right.
whoa.
So,
And so,
it was the mob mentality, because the authors and then all of those people that got in on that vibe of, kill the beast. Now all the authors are saying, okay, you're doing you're doing a better thing here, whatever. But the mob doesn't like peace. The mob doesn't like, when everything works out. So they're silent right now. Now they're just watching. They're just watching, sharpening their nails, grinding their teeth, seeing if they can hop back on the bandwagon on May 31st.
And that's what's so uncomfortable. So it's a really interesting concept because the empath in me wants to say, man, she really messed up. Like there was just so much that she overpromised with the hopes, and I don't know where she was thinking in the hopes of this all working out if truly only 50 tickets were sold.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Where did you think the other 450 to 550 tickets were going to come from?
Right.
Because that would have never happened. So, I mean, a month prior, did you not stop and think, this isn't going to go the way I want it to go, and I should release an email stating out of transparency what we're looking at, so that international authors or authors that were traveling out of state stopped and went, I don't think I can afford this, or I don't see the financial gain out of this, so that the reputation and the integrity remains. And you're just honest and saying, well, maybe next year, because once the name gets out, and maybe we can have a bigger event.
Well,
But
I don't know if you read this, but apparently it was supposed to be held in the Hilton.
yes, that's where.
So the con I went to a few years ago, where I was a speaker, it wasn't like the Hilton, but it was a nice hotel, and everyone stays at the hotel. Then you come down to the ballrooms and things like that and do your thing. It was a nice setup. It was great. So, but this was supposed to be at the Hilton.
Yep.
Dude, apparently, like, now this could be hearsay, because this was just on a reel, it was just on a post or whatever. But they're saying that her credit card was denied, so she had to do like a Days Inn and have a gym be the place where, I mean, it's just if you know all why how do you think you're going to get, and like you said that she was going to go off and hide in the Bahamas. Somebody did the math, and if she kept all the refunds, she's only ahead like 18 grand, which is not something to sneeze at, but that's
to start a new life after this.
yeah, that's not enough to start a new life. That's not enough to run off to the islands, dude. That's not enough to buy a used car.
Not in this day and age.
Yeah, so where is the gain here if it was a scam? Because if it was a scam and they can prove it, dude, you're going to prison.
Well,
And
that's
you're
the
going to
other
go to
thing.
prison for 18 grand.
And that's what's so scary, because if you look at even the threads and stuff like that, like people are tagging lawyer companies that they're Baltimore, maybe. I think it was a Baltimore.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong, and maybe you know a bit more about that than I do, but it sounds like Baltimore's taking this on and is kind of representing some authors in this in the chance that it does go really sour.
That could be, and that could be why, because again, there was that week spread from the time where she issued that apology that everybody ripped on to the time where she said, okay, everybody's getting full refund.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, honestly, authors, vendors, don't take the refund. If there's
No.
going to be a lawsuit, if you take the refund, you are not going to get in on that lawsuit. You're done. You got your money back. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
So, look into that. There could be, I don't know if it's big enough for class action. Probably not. I don't know. I don't know how that stuff works. But
No.
yes, there is talk of lawsuit, and I just don't know. This chick ruined a lot of things for 18K. That just
Well, and that's where maybe if there was the talk of the lawsuit being brought up, did she get a lawyer involved? And that lawyer was like, dude, if you do not make these amends and process these refunds, you will be like, you're over,
I
and
assume yes.
that's
I
why,
assume yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
because we went from here's an apology with
and it was a bad apology.
it was a bad apology, like, and that's not even me trying to be mean, but I watched it. It was very uncomfortably staged and scripted feeling.
And
Just felt kind of
it was
void.
very, very short. It was not from the
Yeah.
heart. It was very brief.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, Chelsea and I are as for this girl as we are for the authors and vendors, because we like everyone. We want to see everybody succeed. We don't want to see anybody, and we're just looking for the best in people. So at the time this apology came out, we're thinking this girl made a mistake. She bit off more than she could chew, and then we get this apology. We see this apology, and we're like, my gosh, that was kind of a stale, like kind of stone faced. You could have left without. You could have done without it. Like it
That
didn't
was
really.
like leaving a penny as a tip at the table. Like
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
worse to leave that than just not leave it.
yeah. It was pretty bad. And that's the one, of
Yeah.
course, where she got ripped. And then literally 6 days later, she drops. Everybody's getting a refund. Here's a response from management. Girl, you are management. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure she lawyered up. I'm sure there's a lot of things happening in the background. Although if she did lawyer up, why in the world did they say May 31st?
I don't know.
They
Maybe
put a date on it.
because in the same breath she's saying we're processing refunds as fast as possible.
Leave it
So
at that.
yeah,
Right.
if you're processing as fast as possible, and maybe I don't know how things work, and enlighten me if I'm wrong, but man, that should be a lot faster than May 31st. So it was kind of a contradictory statement to make. And like you said, I mean, she really should have just left it. We are processing refunds as fast as possible.
Right. I assume she already spent the money trying to do other things, renting the gym, renting the
That
this.
hurts.
Yeah, so I'm sure she's already out the money, because again, 18K is not a lot of money,
Not when you're
especially
hosting an event.
right. It's not a lot of money, so I'm sure that money is gone. So
Yeah.
she's having to try to figure out how to recoup, how to get that money to refund. It's a big giant mess. And again, I hope that she is a good person who made a mistake and that all of this works out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I honestly do. I couldn't. That's one of those, like, I really want to hope for the best, because we've said it 100 times already, but like, I don't want to think the worst of her, and I don't want to think that she thought she could get away with this.
right.
The other thing is, like, did she think she could get away with this? A lawyer was brought in, and a lawyer said, dude, you have to refund this, or, I mean, there will be a lawsuit, right? Like,
Yeah.
Obviously, you could go to jail for scamming people out like that.
Right.
But
And people, good people make mistakes.
all the time.
Right? Good people make mistakes all the time. There are consequences to actions. So I don't say that her lawyering up is evidence of her guilt. No. It's so that she can fess up to the mistakes that she made, endure and pay the consequences, but protect herself as well. You've got
she has every right to do that.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
If she was a weasel, if she was a thief, then I mean, I hope she does serve jail time, and somehow, some way, the authors and vendors do get their money back. But I just really hope that's not the case.
No, I really hope that's not the case either. And like, the apology, despite being kind of devoid of all life, if she was trying to scam people out, I don't think she would have posted that.
unless you're just trying to throw smoke, right? Just trying to buy
But
time.
that would be absolutely ludicrous because I mean, you already have the mob mentality. Like, if you are a downright sociopath, narcissist without any ounce of emotion, like, I could see if you wanted to post that. But, like, that would be crazy if she was like, ho, 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 ho. But that's not what we're here for. We're not here to, hearsay, right?
Right. I mean,
But,
it is all kind of hearsay now, but we're not trying to sway one way or the other. We're just
no,
trying to
no,
talk.
no, no.
We're trying to talk about
We're just trying to talk about it because if you go on Instagram or any of the socials right now, you cannot talk about it because it is a one way or the other way. There's
it.
no proper conversation
Right.
happening, and
And
that's what.
you all know that that's kind of what we that's probably what you were just going to say. That's kind of right. That's kind of what we do. We take the middle road. We try to talk about things from both sides. Try to see things
Yeah,
from both sides. We
yeah,
really try not to react on emotion or
no,
we try to take things through the lens of reality. And we do try to always believe the best in people.
yeah, because I would hate to think the worst in this.
Right.
Definitely, I think some of the stuff, and I was gonna say it here. The author that I had found on Threads took a screenshot of, and I would be more than happy to tag her or say her, Hope Davis author. She shared some major big points about this event that I thought was really interesting. Very logistical. She wasn't trying to be mean or anything like that. She was just like, this is how everything went wrong. And these were red flags right from the start. I think I shared with you these last night. Just so I don't know.
Oh,
I have no idea.
yeah, the 2 or 3 screenshots. Yeah, okay, yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So this is where I think was really interesting. She said that some authors paid extra to sponsor the event. The items or info they sent to sponsor the event disappeared. So none of that information was brought back
So
up.
let me talk to that real quick. So I've been to a couple cons, and they'll always say, "Hey, can you help sponsor the event?" Normally, what that is not monetarily because we are indie authors. Normally, what that is our swag. If you've got, I have pins for Anatolian Press. They're really fun. People love them. I had like 5,000 of them made. So I've just got this gigantic box. Yeah, I've got this gigantic box of pins. I was like, yeah, sure. I'll give you all some pins. How many do you need? 200. Okay, cool. So 200 swag bags are going out. Each bag gets a pin. If authors who can do that, then you get these dope swag bags that people can win raffles for, or the VIP people can take home. That's what a sponsorship on that level is.
Yeah. And that's good because I don't know if everybody knows that. So thank you for stopping and explaining that because I'm just jumping ahead here.
Yeah, just do what you need to do. So, do what
Do
you
what
need
you
to
need to
do.
do.
Me and your mom are fine. Just right here.
Thickening.
Yeah,
So
thickening. Yeah.
So she also goes on to say there were no badges as promised. When asked, we were told they all arrived broken, but there was no replacement, so anyone could come and go as there was no way to verify who was an author or reader or random person off the street, which I think was a massive red flag from the get-go.
That's a super red flag.
Yeah.
If you're expecting, and like we've always said, we don't know the exact amount, but dozens and dozens of authors and then a number of vendors. So let's call the staff 50. Let's call the staff 50. And I'm probably low on that, but let's call it 50. You're telling me 50 badges? And how did they come broke?
All of them.
Were you providing your own badge scanners? What is, I'm trying to figure this out. So that whole thing right there doesn't make sense. They all came broke, and then you couldn't differentiate between a visitor and a staff.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, that was so again, like we talk about going into this with a logistical approach, but when I saw that one piece of information about the badges really stood out to me because I thought that's weird because if you were an event planner, those badges would have arrived 3 to 4 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Especially if you were promising something this big. And because you would have want to confirm that these badges were accurate, they weren't broken, shipped, if you needed to replace them, all these things that come in when you're working with different distributors and providers. None of that happened. You're going to tell me you got these badges like yesterday and they suddenly were all broken?
And
That was very odd.
and again, just like the 450 to 550 people that bought tickets and didn't show up,
Yeah.
same thing with these, we call it 50 badges. The numbers, it doesn't add up. You're not going to get 100% failure on
Yeah.
on this delivery. It's just not going to happen.
No.
So,
So the other thing is there was no official schedule ever posted.
which
You
that
know,
would have
'cause-
been done. That would have been done months in advance. It would have been on all the websites. It would have been on all the social medias. That
Yep.
would have been done months in advance. Yeah.
I mean, the Mile High Con that I've looked at a few times because they'll host authors there. They have those schedules posted like 6 months in advance.
Right.
Yeah, because it's the event itself it takes a year to plan out,
Right.
get everybody there, big actors, all the distributors, massive. And this was promised to be a massive event. So the
This
fact
was
that there was
promised to be one of those. That's,
yeah,
man,
and it wasn't, not even close.
not even close.
Another thing is panel authors were given very little information on the panels, and some authors never even received the information for the panels they were on. Panels were too large, with the panel members exceeding those attending the panel in almost all cases.
Can you imagine the feeling of being invited to be on a panel and sitting down to be on the panel? And like the biggest panel I've ever been on is like a panel of 6. So let's take my experience being on a panel of 6 and having 4 people in the room. Can you imagine?
And being told no information or hardly any information about the panel that you're going to be on?
Yeah. It's crazy. You're looking out into a room full of empty chairs, and there are like 4 people in the room. So think about what that does to your head when you're coming to this con, thinking that you're going to be on a panel, that you're going, you feel proud that you've been asked to do this, So, and then there's
nothing.
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that's a brutal thing. Did you hear about the some of the panels? They didn't even have tables and chairs, so the panelists had to sit on the floor.
I did not hear that.
Yeah. That they had a picture of one panel sitting on the floor, kind of in a semicircle, like you would if you were on a panel, but they were on the floor talking to people. Oh my gosh, so much ick when you start hearing the actual stories of people who were there.
So much went wrong with this, and that's what's so hard about it, because like we've said, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but months in advance, you should have seen the red flags as the organizer. And if you had the right integrity, and I hate to say it, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
If you had enough integrity watching this and being like, this might crash and burn, you should have said something and been transparent before.
Now, I will say that this is not quite the same. Obviously not on the same scale, but like with Anatolian Press, I've known for like a year and a half that Anatolian Press was not going to be financially sustainable. That just the landscape of indie authors right now, whilst there are good things going on, me taking on the full financial load of every author that comes on, and then fronting all that cost, and then having them pay me back with royalties when you only get a small amount of royalties anyways, it was just not financially sustainable. So I've known that for a long time, but I've kept it going. I've gone further and further into debt, and because I don't want to let other people down. Yeah. So in my case, I never burned anybody. Nobody ever lost money on me because I was paying for everything. Nobody ever lost money on me. But the mindset I can kind of understand if she's a good person, and if she's really like, oh, she's maybe in the back of her mind, she knows this is going to flop, but she's got so much weight on herself and she doesn't want to let anybody down. That's just a possibility. I don't know. She could be an evil person sitting in her lair, petting her, her furless cat. I don't know. That very well could be true. But
honestly, that is such a really well put perspective, because you as a provider and a giver, you know what that's like. And perhaps she felt so much weight about hosting this event that the guilt of saying, hey, I don't know if this is going to work or be as successful as I thought it was going to be, perhaps that was extremely crippling for her.
Right.
You don't know.
Right. And we're just saying that because it is one possibility of however many.
Yeah. So that's very interesting to think of. I really hope that I think the lesson I think more than anything I want out of this before we get into just kind of keeping an eye out what to look for and things like that is, man, you don't know who's on the other side of that screen. And some of the comments I saw, some of the hate, it was very disturbing and uncomfortable to see. It was like Gaston on steroids. And it was just like, it was very cruel of people, of some of the things they said. I'm not saying you didn't have a right to be upset. That's obviously why we're talking about this. But just remember that there's somebody on the other side of that, and you don't know their situation. And if she turns out and she f's everybody over and doesn't get a May 31st refund date as promised, then my goodness, she was really trying to screw people over, and I have special places in hell for those people. So
Wait, are you saying that you're Satan?
yeah, I am. So
You heard it here first, folks. That is news to me. I did not know that my good friend, fellow author, and fellow co-host was in fact Beelzebub. So
that was so good that you used the original term.
that's
Uh,
news to me. But yes, no, I agree. It was disturbing to see how quickly. But we've talked about this before. People
yeah.
just jump on this bandwagon and they want to crucify somebody. And man, it's rough. I don't know, but
Yeah.
man,
But okay, so
look at those biceps, Chelsea. Look
oh,
at
with the tats.
yeah, looks good, man. Looking swole, bro. God,
Swoop.
yeah.
Speaking of, Micah saw something yesterday that nobody has seen yet.
Your mom?
Oh,
Oh, wait, no, not that. Uh,
wrong timing.
yeah, wrong. Okay. No, yes, I did, and goodness gracious, I mean, it's incredible. It's unreal. It is going to make me spend more money than I wanted to because I'm
Yeah,
going to
sorry
have to.
about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read how to do it. Yeah,
Yeah, do it. Yeah, that was the sketch.
yeah. Chelsea is commissioning a portrait of her main character for the standalone, and
Yeah.
goodness gracious, y'all, when you get to see it, it's gorgeous. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen anything that pretty from a pencil sketch. It's unreal. It's so good.
Yeah, I was like, she's like, I'll send you a sketch when I have something. And I was like, cool, awesome. And I sent her like a half page, description, things like that. And obviously he's a dragon rider, so I wanted the dragon with him, but I wanted the baby dragon because
Yeah,
obviously the first book really is about him embracing what it means to be a dragon rider and a hero. But some small details that I was asking about and everything like that. And then she's like, yeah, I'll send a sketch along. And yesterday morning, I open up my laptop and she's like, here's the sketch. I didn't like the first one, but I hope you like this one. And I was like, is a sketch, bro? You can hang that as we speak.
that's what I don't understand what her idea of like finished product is going to be, because that thing is gorgeous. It's unreal.
Yeah, I'm like panicking. Like, I'm so excited.
Yeah,
It was honestly, it's beyond anything that I had already mentally prepared myself for. I
dude,
don't know if that makes sense.
the depth of what's in there, like there's no place that is not occupied by something that can catch your eye. It's
Yeah.
unreal. It's unreal.
The details, like there were some specific things with the tattoos and what they symbolized. If you look at the dragon, Saniela is her name, but if you look at Saniela, she's missing a toe, and that's an iconic scene in the book. It's very very dark scene, but it's an arcing moment for him,
Yeah,
and so that's like she's got the tattoo correct, she's got like everything down to the just perfect. I was like,
so
what is
cool.
happening?
Yeah,
Like, are you a magician?
yeah. So now all I can think about is like her doing something like that for Iliadara, and I'm just like,
Oh, dude,
yeah,
I was just like,
I'm gonna have to do it. I hate it, but I'm gonna have to do it.
you're gonna have to do it. Like, honestly, that's do it. And she works fast. Like, if you reached out to her and you were like, I want to do something in August, she'd be like, yeah, cool,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
You
I'm
know,
thinking I'm gonna have to reach out because it's just too crazy, too beautiful.
Oh, I cannot wait. And she's going to do different resolution sizes. So I can do for the print for the book. And then obviously, I'm going to print a canvas size.
Oh, of course, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
He will be my freaking, it's going to be a shrine of him. I was like, okay, sir. Like,
And then maybe I don't know how much a metal print would cost at that size, but maybe a cardboard print and maybe a metal print if you're, because I'm only planning on doing like maybe 10 to 20 special editions,
yeah.
with the painted edges and all that. But if I do go through her, if I get something done of Iliadara, I'm going to look into a metal print 6x9 that will go in the book for the special edition, so that people can have that and put it on their bookshelves. Yeah.
Why do you do this to me?
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. It's the nature of my butt.
It's the nature of my butt. We derailed that. We were supposed to talk about red flags.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about red flags. Well,
okay.
Your book's about pirates, flags. Flags are piratey, so it's just a natural transition. Yeah.
Right. That's what we're here for.
Well, real quickly,
your butt. What?
Started dipping again.
Oh my God.
Like 10 and a half months. I didn't dip. And
why?
It's so good. It's so... You want to know, Chelsea? That's what's up.
You're sitting there thinking about it. You're like, well, I write the perfect way.
Right. Well, it's like that is something that, like, while I was writing, man, it just helped. It's nice to have a dip while I'm writing. I just wanted to fess up, because I'm being honest. I am not the Fyre Fest of book festivals. Management. I'm being transparent. I'm letting you all know. But I started dipping again. I apologize for all those I've let down. But if anybody wants to dip, let me know, and I'll let you know what I use. So please continue. Please continue.
My confession is I sometimes have 2 cups of decaf a day. It's terrible.
That is terrible. That is terrible. Yeah. I can tell in the wrinkles and saggy nature of your face that you drink way too much.
That's it. That's how it's over.
Yeah.
So red flags to look out for, because this is important, because we don't want to just say this happened, but we want to at least say these are things to look out for and these are good practices to do. When it comes to the Million Lives Book Festival, we've covered some of those red flags, but I think it's really important to reiterate them here. Is 1, poor communication or organization. So as somebody who was not an author participating in that, I don't know what the emails were. I don't know if she sent weekly, monthly, bi-monthly emails. I have no idea. I don't even know when people signed up for this versus when the event was supposed to take place. And so the question is was she providing email updates? Was she providing ideas, false promises, or being told that this was going to happen when in reality, obviously, it didn't happen? Or did she not email at all? Sad to say, but the unclear or inflated attendee claim, that is another massive red flag. So you were saying anywhere between 500 and 600 people were promised to be there. But we both were talking like some authors were promised up to 1,200 people were going to be there.
Right.
Which is insanity, because that's a massive discrepancy, and you would be tracking those tickets because you need the event space for that.
Right.
Like 1,200 people showing up, that would be mile high level on the book fest level.
Right. On the book fest, yeah.
So it would be massive. So the pay to play or award schemes. So if an event promotes an award or collection that requires large upfront payment to be included, these are often predatory. So I don't know if she did that. I don't think she did that.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about it. Yeah.
No, I did not hear anything about some pay to play, like, that kind of stuff. But if you do hear that, run. Author to author selling events, which I think we can all claim this event turned into, which was kind of the beautiful result, is that a lot of authors turned to each other and started supporting each other. If you look at different threads, I almost said emails, everybody. I'm working, I promise. If you look at different threads, videos, posts, a lot of authors were stepping forward and just saying, like, we supported each other, we're taking photos with each other, we're making the best of this really heartbreaking situation. And authors were even saying, like, I made good money because of the authors that were supporting each
Right.
other.
Right. No,
Which
and
I thought
that's good, but it's unfortunate because we all experienced that same thing on socials where you have authors supporting authors, but you can't get out of this kind of circle where everyone is supporting each other, but you're all authors and there's no readers, and you kind of just get in this stale, stagnant position where
yeah,
you can't break out of it. And so that's I can see that being a lot. Yes, it's wonderful they supported each other. I would have done the same thing, meeting each other,
yeah.
buying each other's books. That's great, but that is not what this was tagged as. That is not what this was supposed to be.
No, and there's another author I know who has participated in events that have said, "Oh, authors, this is for the authors. We're going to get readers here, blah blah blah." Much smaller scale, and it turns into an author and to author event, and
Yeah,
we're talking like 3 copies of books are sold
right.
because the authors just spend time talking or maybe kind of isolating themselves or depending on the situation. And that's direct experience that I have been shared with the author who has participated in these, and that it turns into a very awkward situation.
Oh, and something I forgot to mention earlier, I'll mention now. I did reach out to the Archer Fantasy chick. I reached out to her. I said, "Hey, just FYI, we're a tiny little podcast. We little people. We probably between all of our accounts, we've got like 5,000 followers. So nothing. We're not big fish here. But if you want to come on, we'd be happy to have you." She did not respond. So,
And again, not to sit here and crucify her, but to actually hear her side.
oh, 100%. We would just had a conversation like we do now. Cause like I said, I don't have I don't have I don't have a horse in this race. B, I don't have a side. I just want to know
No.
the truth. And I told her that in my message. So I don't even know if she got it, but yes, she did not respond.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll change. Maybe when things settle down, maybe she'll want to come on. I could totally understand if she wanted to stay low right now.
Oh, 100. I
So
was like,
yeah,
I was like, she will probably not even open this. She's probably not even looking at DMs right now. But I just
I
figured
would. Yeah. Yeah. But again, she has a place here if she wants to talk, and just so that we can hear her side of the story. Because as we've said, it's like a lot of people are talking, but they were not her.
right.
And so we do not know the situation to the utmost integrity level details, whatever you want to call it, where it's just like, was she really truly into this because she thought she was going to get something good out of it? Or, so she has a platform here if she wants to come on and we can talk about it.
Yep.
The other one is no reader engagement plan. So if an event doesn't advertise to readers, offer programming for them, or isn't in a reader centric location, it may not attract your target audience. That I think kind of jumps off the author to author selling events, because depending on how the event is advertised, which comes back to the example I just shared about the author who has gone to these events.
Mm-hmm.
They are not reader centric. They are not necessarily advertised as bookish events. They are, let's say, fantasy themed, right? They're cosplay events, right? And so, but they say, oh, authors can show up. Readers aren't there for that.
Right.
You're lucky if a reader does show up. They might be there for something else entirely. So that's another red flag, is be careful what kind of event you're sharing or showing up for.
Before I ever sign up for a con, I'm doing a lot of research.
Yeah.
Now, I try to do a lot of research on this Archer Fantasy. There's not a lot out there. I never would have signed up for it because there's not enough history. There's not enough documented success to know who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with. So I would say before you go to any con, do a little research. Now,
Yeah.
the $125 table thing, that was super cheap. That might be a red flag because that was so cheap. So
You're right. I mean, it could be a red flag. I definitely think it's the type of event. I want to say, oh my gosh, there's an event that happens in New Mexico called the Boobonic event or something like
No,
that.
that's a plague. It's a plague that
No, it's literally late. Like Nate,
it's like a
I
Halloween thing, like boo bonnet.
yeah, it's kind of like it happens in August.
I still think it's a plague, Chelsea.
It's kind of named after the plague, like
Boobonic.
Book Fest or something. Say, I want to.
There's bombastic in Mexico.
No. Is it the Bubonicon? I think it's called the Bubonicon.
Boobonic. Let's look at that one. Boob.
If not, I can pull it up. I was because there's an author who went last year.
Boobonic. I just realized the boob is in the word Boobonicon.
Oh Jesus.
Boobonicon 2025. Oh, it's not spelled boob. It's spelled B-U-B.
No boobs here.
Boobonic in New Mexico, best and longest running sci-fi, fantasy, literary, and arts convention. This looks fun.
So is it? I can't remember, but I want to say the cost of tables runs anywhere between 125 to 150 if you do a full table.
Tickets, schedule, get involved, links, guides, about. It might take too long for me to actually find where it's at.
But I know an author.
There's a Delilah L. Swanson is going to be there this year.
Who's that?
An author. I don't know who she is. She's just really pretty. So just let you know, guys. I think she does. I think they're there. I have to do some more research, but I'm pretty sure they're there.
But so I bring them up because I'm pretty sure their tickets are kind of in that same range.
Yeah.
Just because there's an author we both know who attended last year and said she had a lot of fun and she's doing it again this year.
Good.
But I want to say it was right in that same price range because she had asked me if I wanted to share a table with her, and I'm not even sure I can make that work at this point yet. So that's why I brought them up. So I think the cost of the table versus what was being promised, that's what I have an issue with, is the fact that there were supposed to be so many people. It was supposed to be this big event, but only pay $150.
Right.
I'm like,
right. That's what I'm getting at. Because like the con that I was invited to, they were talking about maybe 500 visitors and $400 table. Now the $400 table was steep to me. So they asked me back last year, and I was like, no, I don't want to pay the hotel fee. I don't want to pay because they would cover the table cost, but I'd have to cover everything else. I'm like, no, I just too much cost. So there's a lot of cost in that, which again goes back to how much this really wrecked people, because you got to think you're paying for the hotel, you're paying for travel, you're paying for the table, you're paying for tickets. There's a lot of things you're paying for.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, 400 is too much. That is for me, like if you're going to like Los Angeles Comic-Con, okay, maybe that makes sense. But if you're going to Oklahoma Book Fair or whatever, then it might not be worth it. I don't know. It's
I will say, so last year there was an opportunity where I could have gone to the Mile High Con, and I was accepted, and they told me, just fill out the rest of this information and stuff like that. And then what I had an issue with, and I'm not dissing on them or anything like that because they're massive. They have big time actors there, everything. There was no real corner for the authors.
Right.
There was, if you looked at the landscape, there was not really an author area. And on top of that, if you looked at the contract and things like that, there was nothing for the author. It was because it's not dedicated to the author. Those events aren't for the author, even though it's
basically just like, here's a big event. You can come up to the table if you want to pay for it.
But then they wouldn't tell me the cost up front, what the table was going to be.
I remember.
And that's where I was like, yeah, I think I was telling you this because I applied and I thought, oh, this could be super cool. And then when I was accepted, it was like, it's turned into this big, vague pile of poop. And I was like, not getting answers. The contract looked kind of weird. And I was just like, there's nothing specific for authors here in protecting ourselves. And there's no cost. And I don't even know on the floor plan where I would be.
Right.
And I was like, it was just really weird. Like, I'm like, and no hate on them because I know they're massive and obviously highly successful, but I don't think it's as much as they advertise it to have authors there. I don't think it's author friendly.
Right.
I could be, if you are an author who have gone there and had success, let me know. But my experience with the internal side was very kind of, ugh,
Yeah.
and so knowing it was going to be thousands of dollars, I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am. I just, at
Yeah.
this point, it's like I want to work on marketing. I want to work on my relationships with people, and yeah, yes, you can grow those and spark those at those events, but you're paying astronomically for it. Again, thousands of
Yeah.
dollars, and it's just
And I priced mine out. It would have been thousands,
yeah,
like,
for sure.
because the author copies alone, trying to get books there, and then the material to even set up a table, because
Right.
they basically told me I had to set up my own cloth and everything like that. And
Yeah,
I was just like,
you're given a foldable table, and then
yeah,
everything else is yours. So you're buying
yeah.
all the banners, all the cloth, all the candles, whatever you're going to put on your table. That's all you.
And they weren't even like direct about how the size of my table. I was like,
I remember
what?
that. Yep.
I
You're
was
like,
like, what am I even working
table?
with?
I'm getting a 4-foot table. Oh,
Yeah.
I get a round table, a rectangular table. Oh, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I can't even. Yeah. So it was just wait again. I think if you are an author who's wanting to get into into these events, one, make sure they have Wi-Fi so that if you set up a Square payment, that you can do that.
Yeah.
I was told that there are certain events that don't have Wi-Fi and it turns into a disaster.
It'd be terrible.
So yeah, that would be very bad. Two, I think if you're an author getting into this for very, very new, like even myself, I haven't even done an event. I would start with a smaller book related
Right.
event.
There's a lot of our friends are doing smaller events all throughout the year, and they're so successful.
Yeah.
They're selling dozens and dozens, hundreds of books,
Hmm.
and they're not paying anything more than like $25 a table or something like that, and they're meeting new people and they get new followers. Right. Could this fold into a form of posturing, a form of maybe making yourself feel bigger than you are? I don't know. That's off the dome. That's just off the top of the head. I would never do it, not at this phase of my life, because I've got no draw. Nobody knows who I am,
Right.
and most indie authors, nobody knows who you are. So
Right.
yeah, so that's just a thought. That's just something
Yeah. And as when Micah says posturing, it's not said in negative, because we've talked in previous episodes. What does it mean to be an indie author? What does it mean to posture yourself so that you can increase that incentive of
You gotta do it.
and the fear of missing out? Right.
Yeah.
And I think, and we've kind of discussed this, but we've never outright said it. I do think there is a good posturing and a bad posturing.
Yeah.
And so that in itself, I think when you go to these events, they can be a really good form of posturing, because you are saying, you are increasing the fear of missing out, the incentive. I know there is an author, she kind of falls more into the romantasy fantasy realm, like heavy fantasy elements, but she goes to these Renaissance fairs,
Yeah.
and they will let you set up, and she does this full dress up, and she looks like straight out of the Renaissance.
Awesome.
And she has crazy success there.
Yeah.
And she's got her completed trilogy. She just shows up and she's just like, check it out. And she'll sell books like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, good for you.
Awesome.
And so
Cool.
she just hops Renaissances, she's just like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah. And she gets the opportunity to meet really cool readers and have a lot of fun doing it. And that's her form of marketing, because she doesn't have a strong presence or a consistent presence on social media. And I think when you start branching out and looking at different marketing forums, whether it's at events, whether it's setting up at a coffee shop, because your local coffee shops can set up sometimes.
Right.
I knew an author who did that, who literally went, asked if she could set up there, and they were like, cool, they're local, they'd totally support her. And she sat there for 5-6 hours and sold, 12, 15 books, because people walked up, asked her questions, and she had a lot of fun that way.
Yeah.
And so I think depending on your level of and type of marketing, you can see a lot of benefit from that.
Yeah.
I've just in the small branching I've done with other marketing platforms, I've seen that success returned. And so I've never done a book festival or even gone to my coffee shop and been like, can I set up shop here? because I think that takes a level of courage that I don't quite have
Yeah, yeah,
yet.
yeah. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
no,
it's very fascinating.
those smaller cons, those smaller venues, things that you're not gambling your
Your life
your
savings.
estate, right? Yeah, yeah. You just go, you have a good time, you meet some good people, you sell some books. If you don't sell any books, it's no sweat off your back because you
Yeah.
still got the experience and you got a couple new readers. If you don't I don't know. People always say I'm a cantankerous old man, and that is probably true. I am a cantankerous old man. I just don't think that we need to spend all that money, dedicate all that time, and get these high hopes that they're more than likely 99% probably going to get shattered.
Right. Especially if you want to at least break even on the cost.
Right.
Or I don't even know if you would break even. I guess it would depend how many author copies you have on standby. Like for me, I have very little. So
Yeah.
if I went to an event, I would have to cough up quite a few $100s to even get those author copies.
Well, but you coughed it up at some point, so you still paid for it at some point.
True.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
think about it in that regard, yes.
Yeah.
If you think about it in the Chelsea regard, where I'm like, you want me to spend how much money to even get to this event? Like
Right.
that's how I look at it.
Right. Right. Says the woman who just bought a $2,000 ultra wide screen.
5K.
It was $5,000.
No, it's 5K.
Oh, 5K.
The definition, not, but
Okay,
it was 2K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
So
says the woman who lives on top of a mountain.
monthly payments, dude.
No, I'm not gonna spend $20 on an author book because it'll make me broke.
It'll make me-
It'll make me.
oh my god, that was hilarious. But I will tell you this right now. Because I have spoken to an author who did the coffee shop thing and she loved it. It is an actual goal of mine.
I will probably do that down at Post since I've been writing there for so long.
I was gonna say they know you by name, so
Well, and I told you, like, I'm going to give them one of the custom books. I'm gonna sign it, thanks to the Post staff, blah blah blah, and give it to them so they can put it up on their shelf. Yeah,
that's
so
amazing.
I thought that'd be a nice thing to do. But and then maybe after that, maybe I'll set up for a signing and spend like a weekend there just signing and talking to people. I think yeah.
And that's what would be really fun. Like there's a really cool coffee shop that is about 15-20 minutes from me. And and they're very busy and they're very cool in there. They do all their handmade breads and stuff like that too.
Nice. Yeah.
So they have like this massive, like all like 100 sourdough proofing baskets. I'm like, I will marry you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you are my heroes. So that I've always kept them in mind, but I think I kind of want my standalone out first.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to say join the empire with the standalone,
right,
versus I have an uncompleted saga, even though they're amazing, but the saga is at a different level of narration, pacing, all of that, and people might just want to stand alone.
Totally. I think that's part of the beauty of getting the standalone is you'll be able to so much easier. Say it again.
I was just going off you. Easilier.
So maybe this isn't a word since I'm having a hard time saying. So much more easier.
Easier? I feel like easier would be it.
Would it just be easier? So much more easier? No, because more easier.
No, because more.
Much easier. It would be so much more easier. But if you're going to say so much more easier, is that a word?
You would say so much more easy.
Right. But now I have to know if that's a word.
That is so not a word, bro. You have like 2 endings to that word.
We got to find out. Easier.
Watch it be like this. Is an
nope,
obscure word.
It's a word.
No.
It's a word. EASILIER. Easier. Easier.
I want you to share it so that we can all see it.
I will. I will pop it up.
Okay.
Easier. And you can say more easily or easilier.
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 That is such a sad attempt at a word. That's all I have to say about that.
It's actually a sad attempt at us just burning 3 minutes trying to pronounce standard English. So
that's not English in my book.
Yeah, easilier. Awesome. I don't even remember what easilier attached to. Something about a book. Anyways, I've been Micah.
I've been Chelsea.
We have been not necessarily a podcast, but not a vlogcast, because I don't know if that's a word. More of a vodcast. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, help us out, comment. We love talking to you. Check us out on Instagram.